Fire.
Okay. Well, hello folks, and welcome to another episode of the Holdfast Garage. My name is Aaron, and I'm an amateur. I've never done any of this before. So, end of the previous episode, the beast was backfiring again. That issue continues. I am still scouring the internet to try and find some sort of wiring, well, not wiring, vacuum diagram, schematic, whatever, to try and see if I can figure out if there's a vacuum leak or something not properly connected. That search continues. I want to get something done though. I want to do a thing. So the engine has, sitting as long as it did, the engine got really dusty. And some of that has been blown out just driving around, but there's a lot that's still in there. So I want to clean the engine compartment a little bit because it's still pretty dirty in there. So that's what we're gonna do to start today. Are we gonna get anything else done? I don't know, but it's nice and sunny and breezy, so all the water that's going to be in there when I'm done is going to evaporate out quickly. So that's yeah, we're just going to get to it. All right, folks, so it's been a couple of weeks now, unfortunately. And as we've talked about before, right, the goal is do a little wrenching and a little driving once a week. Keep things moving, keep the project in my brain, because it's very easy to just let a couple weeks go by and be like, yeah, I'll get back to it. And then, it becomes like that treadmill that you got, and it just becomes a laundry rack. Anyway, So I got a new toy. I got a much better jack. So that's going to be helpful. And I also got one of these here remote start buttons. So I've tried to use it once already, and I didn't hook it up correctly. It was spinning the starter, but the starter wasn't engaging the motor to actually spin it. So that's part of why I got the jack, because this is a taller jack. I'll be able to, you'll see. And I also got rented this compression tester. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna roll the old beast out onto the driveway here. It's a beautiful day. And honestly, part of the reason that I haven't gotten to this yet is because I was kind of waiting for a nice day, and it's beautiful sunny day, but it's only like in the lower 60s, so I'm not gonna get super hot. I can be out on the driveway, out in the weather, and it'll be comfortable. Because this is not something I can really do in the garage. I need a little more space and need a little more light. Anyway, so we're gonna get the old girl out here and see what kind of damage we can do. These are the destructions for the starter button. Typical connection to starter mounted solenoid. GM, General Motors. That's this guy. This relay may have 3 or 4 terminals, 2 large ones and 1 or 2 small ones. So when I tried it last time, I must have hooked it up wrong, because like I said, it spun the starter, but it wouldn't spin the engine. And also there's a light on the thing. It lights up when you got a good circuit, so that was not lighting up. So we're gonna get under there and see what we can figure out with our brain piece. Let's see what we can figure out there. Okay. So, here's what we're looking at here. So you can see the braided cable coming in, that's the battery. And then there's a couple of posts. And yeah, there's that guy. That guy right there. Doot, doot, doot. I don't know. Can't see very well because of the starter. This is the starter right here. That's the solenoid. I need to connect to the solenoid, not the starter. Solenoid. Alright. I'm sending you in as a roaming, an ROV here. What can you see it there? Can you see it? Is it? I don't know. Can you figure it out? How about that? Can you see anything there? Hi, Scout. Hi, bud. Okay, let's review the footage. Hello. Are you helping? Scout's helping. Who's a good boy? Yeah, who's such a good boy? Okay, so good news and not the greatest news ever, if I'm honest. Good news is I found the other terminal on the solenoid. The not the best news ever is that it's ow. Okay, this is super awkward under here. So looking at the footage, it's the smaller post. So there's the two big ones. The one coming off the battery, that's the one I need to hook one of these alligator clamps, to which I need to affix one of these alligator clamps. And the other one needs to go to the smaller post that's deeper in way back. So, yeah. How am I going to do that? Let's figure it out. Who finagled this bagel? Okay. Once more into the breach. You know, and it's... So there's a support strut right here that's in my way. Okay, so the exhaust is cooled off. That's good. You're supposed to have the engine at operating temperature to do this compression test, but that's, you know, we'll get this hooked up and then we'll start it and then we'll run it for a minute, in theory. Okay, so I have to, this is once again doing vehicle maintenance by Braille. What are you made of? You look plastic. You don't look metal at all. So I need to be in there. Grand. Okay. Let's scoot the boot off there for better access. For a second here. Try not to touch two posts at once and electrocute myself. Oh, come on. Oh, for crying in the beer. I just don't even... didn't do anything. See that? She turns. Okay. So I finally figured it out. It was not easy getting up in there. Anyway, it's on to the next thing. Right. Base is back on the ground. The only reason I needed her that high in the air in the first place was for this guy. And now that it's hooked up, we're good. When I need to remove it, I can just crawl under there, just pop those things off. But it's very, I mean, you saw, it's difficult to get in there. Anyway, so beast is back on the ground. Now I can pull the spark plugs out. I already took my air compressor and blew out the spark plug wells, so there's no dust and debris in there that's going to get sucked back into the engine, because we're going to remove all the spark plugs and test compression on one cylinder at a time. So we don't want, you know, when it's on its intake cycle, we don't want bad stuff getting sucked into the engine, and then when we actually do fire it off again, when everything's reconnected and reattached and reassembled and all that, I don't want grass and dust and spider webs burning inside the cylinder. So we did that. So now the next task is to remove all the spark plugs, and I got the charger on, because, you know, not having driven it in a couple of weeks, it is slow. You know, there's no clock or anything turning, but it's not a closed system. You're always going to have a drain on the battery. Anyway, charging the battery. Here we go. Spark plugs coming out. So it's a point of a small point of concern, but still of concern. This is from the number 8 spark plug tray. You can see there is significant goop in there, and every time I take a spark plug out, the threads, you know, they pick this stuff up, and of course I clean that out. But when I put the spark plug back in, there's no, I'm very careful. I try. It's tough, because these things were not engineered to be removed frequently or quickly. But anyway, so I'm very careful. I try not to pick any of this up as I'm putting the spark plug back in, but there's no way of knowing whether I was successful in keeping it clean or not, you know, because when I pull it back out again, if there's goop on the threads on the contact point, the spark points, is that from pulling it out, or was that already there from putting it in? Is it 50-50? Yeah, I don't know. So this is another thing that needs to be addressed. I got to clean those out, but it's, you know, thick. Anyway, moving on. One down. 7 to go. And these are the easy ones. Oh, that one's higher. It's 160. Well, we may have our culprit. So we are currently in the, what is it, number 6 cylinder? Yeah, number 6. And here we go. 60. That is not good. So we'll test, we'll keep looking at them. I was trying to do number 8 first because it's the most difficult one, and it is proving to be difficult. So we'll test the rest of them here on the passenger side. 60 is not, that's not good. The others are over double that. 430, 450, 460. I'm sorry, 130 to 160. So, yeah, that could be our smoking gun. Let's keep testing. Ow! Go down there. Stay up here. Okay, 150. I want to test 3 again. Okay, the results are in, and we've got our culprit. All right, everybody else, I mean, 120, 125, not so great. you know, but not terrible. But number 6 with 60 psi compression. That's, I think it's psi, it must be. That's not good. On the other hand, now we know where to look. What are we looking for? I don't know. It's got to be, my theory is that the intake valve is not seating properly. They're not coming down all the way, or just not seating properly when it does, thus allowing backfiring out through that valve, which is why we're getting backfiring into the intake, into the air cleaner through the carburetor. Okay. What sucks is I think I'm gonna have to talk to Dad. I'm gonna have to, you know, consult the internet. Hey, here comes Scout. Wanna come up? Come on, bud. No? Okay. But the valve cover's probably gonna have to come off on that passenger side, which of course it's on the passenger side. Why? Because it's the more difficult one to get off. So it goes. I do have to remind myself, though, at times, that my initial timeline for this project, I'm way ahead, right? Dad and I talked about it early on, and you know, I think it was episode 6 or 7 that the beast, that we first rolled over the engine. I think it was 6, and then 7 we got the fuel system. Anyway, we thought that this engine was going to be all frozen, all rusted solid, but it's not. It has run. It has taken me to baseball games and to the Dairy Queen and all that. The engine runs. I've got a compression issue. That's okay. All right, now we know where to look. I am absolutely beat. That was a lot more work than I expected it was going to be. So I'm not even going to bother putting the car back in the garage. I have a car cover. It's not supposed to rain, knock on wood, anytime in the next couple of days. So I'm just going to put the car cover on it and take the dogs for a walk and have a whiskey, because I am exhausted. And I'll wrap this up later. On a side note, if you know, if the channel was to have merchandise, hats, shirts, keychains, I don't know, what do you think would be good for merchandise? What would you want for the Hold Fast Garage? Put it in the comments, and you know, we'll see. Maybe one day I'll get big enough to have merchandise. Until then, I'll just keep rocking the Twins hat. Anyway, yeah, so we're going to put the cover on, and that's going to be it for today. We'll see what happens next. Well, in the immortal words of the Blue Oyster Cult, history shows again and again how nature points out the folly of man. Left the car out. I did put a cover on it, as I said I was going to, but I promised you it wasn't going to rain, and well, it rained a lot, and the car cover has a hole in it. So now there's water in the back seat, in the footwells of the back seat, which is great because now it smells like wet grass and old Cheetos. So I got that going for me. And then I went and hurt my wrist trying to pull a skateboard trick, and so now I gotta try and put these spark plugs back in with a bad wing. So that's gonna be special. We're gonna go ahead and wrap up this episode, and we'll maybe bring in on that later. I should point out another reason that there's such a big gap between the first half of this episode and the second half is that sadly I have to report that my German Shepherd Hurley passed away in between those 2 days. I got him when he was 8 years old, and he lived to be 16, which, if you know anything about German Shepherds, that's a good run. Hurley was a great dog. I called him Muffin Head. I called him Thumpy Butt when we lived in Hawaii because it was a tiny little house that I lived in. So he was always whacking his tail on the walls because it was so small. He was the Hurleyest of dogs, and I will very much miss him. I wanted to make sure that that you all knew. He did show up every now and again in some of the earlier videos, but he was getting old and slow, and it was time. And he went on his own terms, so we should all be so lucky. So as always, thanks for watching. Appreciate you very much. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. Comment about the merchandise in there, and we'll see what we can do later on. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, and we'll see you next time. Yes, he does. Really? Look, do you have evidence to back up your claims? Because just yelling... No, see, yelling louder doesn't make it any more true.